Hello everyone, welcome to StraightA. Dawson here, back with another video here today, and we are continuing the 32 team series, and we are going to the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are a very interesting team here today because they have the #1 overall quarterback going into this next season, and a pretty much whole revamped team, pretty much. I mean, outside of this last year, of course, there was some change up there, of course, but even on the off seasons and the last couple of years, they have completely revamped this team, and so we have a lot of not only history of the Chicago Bears to look at. Shut up, phone. But we also have a lot of players to look at and their histories and seeing how well they're going to do and whether trends continue. Be very curious to see. So if you're interested in the video, please leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment what your opinions of this team are below. Let's get right into the Chicago Bears. First of all, just like always, we're going to go run through the depth chart. Caleb Williams, of course, is the main guy here. If he stays healthy, he's going to be the get-clear guy the whole season, no matter what. DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson, Khalil Herbert, basically a three trio here. DeAndre Swift will more than likely get probably 70%, if not 80%, that type of kind of carry percentage. But Roschon's also pretty talented, I think. Khalil Herbert's a nice little monster who'll probably get a lot of end zone carries or, whatever. Then we got the wide receivers of DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze. Everybody else behind them, pretty whatever. A couple of them will get a couple catches if Keenan Allen or TJ Moore or Rome Odunze ever go out. So that's kind of cool to admit, but DJ Moore is a relatively kind of middle-aged wide receiver doing the very talented. Keenan Allen, a little bit older but veteran, great talent to have there. And Rome Odunze, a young up-and-coming talent, really good. Cole Kmet, very, I think, I don't want to say underrated. I don't think he's underrated anymore, but I think he's very good, very solid tight end for Caleb Williams to always have Chuck down to. And the O-line, it's pretty alright actually. It's actually a pretty decent O-line. Defense, fucking amazing. Not only is the coach is really damn good at their job, these players are fucking good. And so I actually have a lot of high expectations for the defense. The offense is where it's going to come into play of like how well are they going to do. And I don't know. I could see this team doing many different things. Again, I probably take more safe routes when it comes to these videos, so I take a little bit more of the middle ground of where they can land. But still, I'm very excited to get right into it. Obviously, we don't have anything for Caleb Williams. I was going to look at his college stuff and say, hey, this is what he did, this is what he did. Everybody knows he's good, but like it's not really worth looking at it. So the only thing we can really compare it to is like CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, that kind of quarterback level. Anthony Richardson can't really compare it to. We can compare it to a lot of other rookie years. Like Joe Burrow had not a great rookie year. Trevor Lawrence had like a 3,600 yard year. CJ Stroud had a 4,000 yard year. Around the 25 touchdown mark, usually for rookie quarterbacks. I think Caleb Williams is going to, just go ahead and spoiler alert, I think Caleb Williams is going to break pretty much every record in Chicago Bears rookie quarterback record book because it does not require a whole lot. So either way, looking at this field, obviously we can't really compare Justin Fields all too much because he was a very different quarterback than what Caleb Williams is. But essentially he can get 3,400 yards, which actually is pretty good for him. Touchdowns, pretty low. Interceptions pretty alright. Justin Fields this year was also pretty alright, but again 2,600 yards total, even with the other backups, not very good. 17-11 though. Again, we're not really looking too much at Justin Fields. We're just kind of looking at the team in general. Justin Fields again, not very high, but Andy Dalton came in, which again is more of a similar play style to Caleb Williams. Then you got 16 touchdowns, a lot of interceptions. Not very good year. Mitch Trubisky the year before that, and Nick Foles basically 3,900 yards together, getting about 26 touchdowns. So this is basically what we have to compare. The Chicago Bears really don't have too much behind the depth chart there for us to compare. Looking at the sacks, we'll go ahead and say there's about 50 there. There's 58. There's 58. And it's 36. So, of course, they have gone up more, but I think their O-line is actually decently impressive now. So it'll probably hopefully get better. But we'll see. I kind of made my adjustments already kind of going into it, but we'll see. Looking at the rushing now, of course, Caleb Williams is not like a not mobile quarterback. He's very mobile, but he's not going to be the main guy. So, Justin Fields is obviously the main rusher there for a reason. Looking at this, got Khalil Herbert, Deontay Foreman, and Roschon Johnson in the rushing game. Roschon is more of like the quicker guy. Deontay Foreman, Khalil Herbert, more of the buff guys going right through the line. And they both kind of basically end up 600, 400 yards. Looking at, again, the rushing, more 800, 700 yards, more of a committee that year, 800, 400. So usually there's always one main back. David Montgomery this year got 1,000. Cordell Patterson was 232. So we have a lot of a big range there for the running back position too. Usually, again, going around the 4 mark, but again, Justin Fields was exceptional. Running backs in general, though, unless you're David Montgomery, pretty hard to come by. David Montgomery did get 8 and 7, all that. He's very, very talented. Is DeAndre Swift that talented? I don't know. It's kind of weird. We'll see whether he's to that level. David Montgomery's a very different running back than DeAndre Swift, so we'll see. Receiving wise, though, is where it gets really, really interesting. DJ Moore was pretty much, and Darnell Mooney, I think, is really, really talented, but not as talented as DJ Moore. DJ Moore really fucking got a lot of love in this last year. Was pretty much the only guy to throw to, except for Cole Kmet. Very, very good. Again, receiving wise on this end, Cole Kmet was the guy because they didn't really have a number one receiver. Before that, Darnell Mooney was the guy, about 1,000 yards. Then receiving before that, Allen Robinson II was the guy, and Darnell Mooney was coming up, I think, as a rookie at this time. So now they have like 3 potential number 1 wide receivers. All 3 of these players they have on their team are very, very potential wide receiver 1. Now, Rome Odunze will give him a wide receiver 2 at best cap right now, just because, again, he's a rookie. You never know. But all these guys have the ceiling of a wide receiver 1, true wide receiver 1 of like a top 10, if not, top 15, but maybe even top 10 type wide receiver talent. So very, very curious. Touchdowns wise, I mean, it's going to be hovering around the 7, 8 mark, 4, 6, and all that. We'll get into the specific players here at the end. Defensive wise, we'll go ahead and cover that real quick. Defense from last year, 30 sacks and 22 interceptions. Fucking unbelievable in terms of interceptions. Defensive wise on this side, 20 and 14 the year before that. Then in 2021, we had 49 sacks and 8 interceptions. And then the year before that, we had 35 sacks and 10 interceptions. So they've gotten way better over time as the defense has just gotten really, really good this last year, especially in the secondary was really damn good. So it's going to be very curious. It's kind of a good quick breakdown. Of course, I'm kind of skimming through all this because these don't really matter. It seems really, really different, even though the coaching scheme is, I guess, still kind of similar. We got to look at the players themselves. DeAndre Swift. This guy right here, love this guy. I think he's very talented. I think he's underrated. So we'll see how he does this year. But he has not had the best history because he's never really been the number 1 guy there until Philly. Philly, he was the number 1 guy there, but Philly also is pretty dang good area to be a running back for, and he was the main guy by a decent bit. So it is curious to see what exactly he'll do. I guess in Detroit a couple years, he was like the main guy, looking at the yardage. And again, Detroit had good O-lines back then. Hold up, no, Detroit had decent O-lines in the time frames. So we'll see. He's someone who I think has a lot of talent, but is his ceiling really that high? I'm not too sure. The Bears have a decent offensive line. Will he get the most carries over Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson? I'm going to look at the more optimistic route, but I also will recognize right now that DeAndre Swift also very well could lose his starting job. And not just due to injury, but just due to production. It's a very real possibility he's one of those running backs that could. I'm looking at more of the bright side for him because I like DeAndre Swift, and I think he is talented enough to get the yardage I think he's going to get, but we'll see. Again, I don't do anything too unrealistic, but it is going to be a real possibility. He gets about 5, 8 touchdowns, rushing, whatever. Then we got DJ Moore. DJ Moore's an interesting story because he pretty much cracks 1,000 most of the time, except for the previous year when he was in Carolina with no help at all at quarterback and no other help at all pretty much any other time. When he first came into the league, obviously rookie, so whatever. But he's gone up in touchdowns pretty much every year, or at least tied it. And he hit 1,364 yards, the best season yet. He's very talented. He's a very, very talented receiver. But, man, when you compare him to Keenan Allen, it's hard to say which one of these players is going to get the most reps. Keenan Allen is listed as the wide receiver 1. No, DJ Moore is listed as wide receiver 1 on the depth chart. Now, I don't know if it's going to be that way. I don't know if it actually is that way. But it is currently what's set at is DJ Moore than Keenan Allen. And my biggest worry about Keenan Allen is his injury, his age. I think he's very talented. I think when he plays, he's going to be one of the best receivers in the league. I think last year, I don't even think he played all the games, and yet he still got 1,200 yards. That's unbelievable. I'm worried now that he is more of a focus, or he's less of a focus on the team now because they have a decent running back. They have good wide receiver cores outside of him. That I don't think he can get this production again. I don't think he can get that production, and nor do I think he's going to be in enough games to outpace DJ Moore for yards. I just think that's going to be the fact. I like Keenan Allen. I think he's still going to get a lot of love. I think he's still going to play plenty of games. And I know I just watched a BGGE video where Nick said that Keenan Allen's going to get more yardage or do very well compared to DJ Moore because they're both coming off their best year yet. Pretty much 2017, I guess. Keenan Allen also did very, very well, but you get it. I worry that his floor is too low for me to say that he's going to get really, really high ceiling. I think his ceiling's very high, but his floor is also very, very low. So we'll keep that in mind as we go on. But we're going to officially go into my predictions for the Chicago Bears stat line. Surprise, surprise, is the Chicago Bears. And going into this first one, I do not want to reveal it right away just because I want to talk about Caleb Williams. I am not sold on Caleb Williams being the greatest quarterback ever to grace football. I'm not convinced that he's going to be a bust. I'm not convinced of anything. I think he's going to have a very talented career. I think he's in a situation that he's going to be set up for success. When I reveal these yardage, it's because C.J. Stroud did something so amazing last year that people's expectations for Caleb Williams seems even higher. This stat line's not going to indicate that he's bad. This actually is a good stat line, especially for a fucking rookie. But it's not going to be C.J. Stroud level rookie year. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't think that you can replicate that all too often. If he proves me wrong, he proves me wrong. Completely fine. I'm going to go with this stat line. I fudged the numbers a little bit to see what exactly I land. And I think I land here. I'm giving Caleb Williams a 35 to 4,000 yards. I think he's going to be on the lower end of that. Before this, I did put him to 3,000 to 3,500. Looking at other rookie quarterbacks that are similar talent levels, I think that he is. I think he's going to get around the 3,600 mark. I think it's pretty reasonable. 20 passing touchdowns, a little bit lower than what C.J. Stroud did last year. It's hard to get passing touchdowns in the league, especially a rookie. You have to kind of meld yourself into that and kind of get used to different schemes. There's a lot of going to be learning curves for Caleb Williams. It's not going to be necessarily bad. I think he's going to do great. 20 passing touchdowns is at least one per game. And does he have the potential to do more? Absolutely. His rushing yards, he's going to be on his feet a little bit. He's going to rush a little bit, but I don't think he's going to do anything spectacular. I think he'll get 2 random rushing touchdowns. We'll go with it, you know. And 8 interceptions. I think 20 to 8 is a very fair and very good stat line for Caleb Williams. I think he'll be safe with the ball. Maybe every now and then he won't play a game. Who knows? Just maybe with an injury scare or whatever. That's kind of, whatever. I think this is going to be a very, very good stat line for Caleb Williams. Shoot me if you want to. But this will go into controversy when it comes to the receivers. Running back, though, DeAndre Swift, again, I think that he's as likely to get 900 yards as he is to get cut. Not cut, but to not have the starting job. So take that as you will. I'm willing to kind of negotiate down to 800 to 899 yards for him. I think that's actually probably more likely than 999 yards. But I also know he has the potential to do very, very well in this team. As long as he keeps the starting job, I think this will be his stat line. Is it too optimistic? Maybe. And if you want to put him down below 800 yards, completely fine too. I'm going to go with this. It's one of my more to the heart predictions, if that makes sense. 6 rushing touchdowns. It's kind of just mid-range. I mean, it's better than what he did recent years, but it's also not his most. So there you go. So my mistake. Keenan Allen is listed as wide receiver 1. I did realize that as I said it, or as I kind of went into this. Keenan Allen, I think, will not get 1,000 yards. I think he'll be damn close. I think he'll play most games, at least partially. I just don't think he'll get as many targets between Cole Kmet being such a safety good option, DeAndre Swift being there for a good check down, or even Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, whatever. And then DJ Moore, I think, will just be faster, more skilled in terms of route running, just younger body out there. Not to say Keenan Allen's bad. Again, this is saying Keenan Allen's very, very good. He's very fucking good. I just worry too much about his health and old age. And I say old age, but he's 32. He's fine. I just worry too much about the risk there that I don't think he'll quite break 1,000 this year. I think it's really hard to have 2 1,000-yard receivers. I don't think Caleb Williams has enough solidified experience to do that for 2 receivers. I think he'll get damn close. DJ Moore, 11 to 1,200 yards. I think if I am wrong about Keenan Allen, the stat lines will reverse. I do not think that Caleb Williams will get 1,000 yards for 2 receivers. I think it'll be very easily he'll do 900 yards one person, 1,200 yards or so on another person. So if I'm wrong about Keenan Allen, fair enough. Switch these around. 5 and 3 receiving touchdowns. Sure, I don't know. Those are really hard to predict. Keenan Allen probably deserves more. DJ Moore probably deserves more. Cole Kmet probably deserves less. But Cole Kmet is such a good safety valve. I'm giving him 6 passing touchdowns or 6 receiving touchdowns. 700 to 799 yards for a tight end. Pretty damn good. We're going to go with it. I like Cole Kmet. I think he's going to do well. Now, something you're going to notice here is that this is the first time that I think there's a 4th notable person that's not going to be on screen because I have done my rule of I'm going to take the 3 most relevant receivers. And I'm putting Cole Kmet there because of his solidified experience. I think I've gone to the first 2 receivers and the tight end, and I probably will do that for everybody for the most part. I might do a 3rd receiver over a tight end depending. I don't know. I haven't decided that. I haven't got to that situation yet. Rome Odunze, rookie. I think it'll be similar to like expectations going with Jordan Addison or something along those lines. He'll do well. I think he'll probably get into the 800s, 700s maybe. Because obviously you see right now on screen at the highest right now you have 2,000. You have about 3,000 yards. Just has to be another 600. Oh well. Now looking at it, actually thinking about it, there's not enough yards for me to predict for that. So I think Rome Odunze will do very good. Is my moral of the story. He's very talented. He'll do very good with Caleb Williams, and I think will have enough of a bond there to actually kind of do something. It's just when you have two talented receivers like Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, it's not a whole lot to pass around. So we'll see. I could be wrong about Rome Odunze. I think he could kind of ramp up as the season goes on, but it's hard to predict 3 receivers. It's hard to predict a whole team with the stats. It's especially hard to predict 4 receivers and exactly where they're going to land on depth chart, especially when I think they're all similar in skill level and have all good different reasons to go 1,200 yards like I predict DJ Moore will. It's tough. This is what I'm solidifying. If you disagree with me there, completely understand. But I think they're going to do around the stat line for each person anyway. I do have to make food, so give me 1 second. Making General's out chicken. I gotta make sure it doesn't burn, man. All right, you heard that little beeper go off. I had to make sure it didn't burn. Either way, we got about 3 minutes before it goes off again, so hopefully we finish it. O-line predictions, I think about 40 to 50 sacks. I think we'll say good improvement. About 45 is what where I'll land at. But good old 45 sacks allowed, I think is a pretty dang good number, especially for Caleb Williams to get used to the NFL system. What this defense is going to do, 45 to 54, pretty dang good. I think they're going to be a monster out there. They're going to be really, really hard for quarterbacks and O-lines to really get around this defense. I think it's going to be damn good defense. 17 and 19 interceptions, slice step down. I think they'll probably end up at 17. I think 22 is really, really high, and only a certain amount of defense can do that. But I think 17 and 19 is a pretty fair assessment for how good this coaching staff is and how good this secondary actually can end up being. Then we look at the 2024 opponents. This is where it gets really interesting, really hard. I have gave the Chicago Bears very good stat lines. I think across the board they have very, very good stat lines, and good teams can have teams that don't necessarily do the best can have good stat lines. Now, with that said, I think the Chicago Bears will do well. I don't think I'm ready to put them in the playoff contention yet. That is my initial reaction. That is my initial gut reaction. 2 seconds. Here you go. Boom. Looking at the records, I think they'll split across the board. 3-3-3. Sorry, not 3-3-3, but 3-3. Against the Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions. The reason why I think that is I think they're very well easily could split any of these games as much as they could be swept by these games. I think they could get swept by the Packers. I think they'll get swept. I think they could get swept by the Lions. I think they could sweep the Vikings. And you look at all this, I think they could land almost anywhere on the board. 1-5, 2-4, 3-3, 4-2, 5-1, 6-0. It almost is like maybe not 6-0, maybe not 5-1, but like I can see 5-1. I can make a case for any of those things. I'm just gonna make it simple and say 3-3. Give them a good little chance there. But they don't have an easy schedule. Looking at this, got the Rams. So looking at the Rams, I think they lose that game. That's my initial reaction. 3-4. I think they win against Titans 4-4. I think they win against the Patriots 5-4. Win against the Panthers 6-4. I think they lose these 2 games against Seahawks and the Jags, leaving the home games 6-6 along with the divisional games. Then you look at these games. I'm saying the Texans and the Cardinals. You go 1-1, so 7-7 so far. And you look at these 3 games. I think you lose to the 49ers pretty handily. I think you split these games. So I think that they're around the 8-9, 9-8 point. And that does leave them at 7-9 wins, roughly. Again, I could see them easily going 9-8. I just don't know if I'm ready to commit to 10-7. It's really hard for a team to get 10-7. Very few teams do. I just don't think the Chicago Bears will make it over that hump. I'm going to go with like 8-9, 9-8 is my official one. I don't think they'll do as bad as 7-10. I think they're a very talented team. I just think it's really hard for teams to get over that hump, especially with how hard the games are. I mean, I think the Commanders are no joke. I don't think the NFC or AFC South is a joke at all. I think that the easiest games they have that are easy wins are the Patriots and the Panthers. I think every other game they could possibly lose. I like the look of the Cardinals sometimes. Vikings, they are a wild card divisional game. Never know what's going to happen. Commanders, they at least can probably pump out a couple good games this season. It's really hard. I'm going 7-9 wins. If you disagree with me, please let me know why in the comments below. Let's have a conversation. Thank you guys for watching, and please stay tuned for more. See you guys later. StraightA Dawson out of here.